Hi guys, this is Breaker, and I am back with a replay that I took from screplays. Did I really just say that? screplays.eu, screplays.net, eureplays.net. I forget. Some combination of the two there. And I decided I was going to go ahead and try and take a much more chill tone to casting this, while simultaneously paying attention to the exclusive details of what is happening in game. So without further ado, let me go ahead and give both players their well overdue introduction. Lower left hand corner, spawning as our Terran in the orange trunks, he is shadye. Let's just call him Shady. I do apologize for any of his fans that I may have offended by pronouncing his name wrong, but I do believe this is a player from Korea that we can call duckdeok, spawning as our Protoss in the upper right-hand corner of the map, which is Neoplanet S. Now, the one thing that I decided to do recently was read up on a post written by Adebisi on basically an esports blog website. He says, I've seen a lot of casters. I've seen a lot of crappy casters. I've seen a lot of standard casters. I've seen a lot of bland casters. I've seen a lot of damn good casters, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and identify builds as quickly as possible in this VOD. Of course, we do see the standard Protoss opener. This is very important to see a double gas, because this will allow a Protoss to go for upgrades early on in the game. Excuse me, not early on in the game, not upgrades, but rather get the sentries out early in the game and create, you know, basically a full wall off with force fields if that is what need be done. Of course, one thing that is basically, you know, something brand new, something sort of exclusive to Heart of the Swarm is a good deal of the... I'm sorry, what? Why is this happening? There we go. I guess I had Alt. Like, my Alt was locked for some reason. My Alt key. There we go. Sorry. But the reason why this is so important is because in Heart of the Swarm, there are new maps that are exclusive to basically HOTS that don't have any Xel'Naga watchtowers on them. And with that being said, you know, this basically gives, you know, each new race that has speedy units, it gives them the early game advantage to just move out whenever they want and really apply pressure on their opponents. Best examples I can give you guys is, of course, this one, Neoplanet S, and the second best example I can give anyone would be Akalon Flats. Sure, there are Xel'Naga watchtowers on that map, but they are not in the middle of the map. They are not. And now we have the Mothership Core entering the map. Double racks coming down for duckdeok. What I can tell you right now is that this is a definitive bio follow-up, guys. I don't know. Maybe I should try that again. That was a definitive bio follow-up. Yeah. Sorry, guys. I hope I helped you guys laugh there. As my Facebook fan page does say that I am an entertainer. That would be... You can find it here, facebook.com/binge-sc2. That would be binge-sc2 for those of you who don't speak Chinese. For those of you who do speak Chinese, that would be binge-sc2. Now, we do have the Zealot going up here, trying to get a read on just what's going on, and there it is. He saw the second command center finishing up. Right. Yeah, he did. Now, I'm a little curious, just how is Duck gonna follow this up? He's already got Stalker, excuse me, he's got a Zealot and a Mothership Core that are out on the map. And thus far we already see Stim finishing, you know, starting up for Shady. And this is kind of important because right now, with the extremely low number of units we have out for our Protoss, you know, Sentries especially, they won't be able to handle themselves versus Stim Marines. Neither will Stalkers, for that matter. But I mean, it's difficult enough kiting, you know, a good deal of Marines in high numbers with Stalkers, let alone Stimmed Marines. That's like basically it can't be done. But every time Marines use Stim, it costs them just a little bit more HP. So I don't know. It's a possibility that if they get completely worn down to the last bit of their HP, then maybe they could just be kited. But until then, we're going to have to see. Basically, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have to see Shadye be extremely careful with the use of his Marines. If he does stim them before he's got medevacs out, that is to say, and duckdeok is going to have to essentially use his force fields as best as humanly possible. We do have a Twilight Council on the way now for duckdeok, so that means we may just possibly see, you know, some DTs, but I'm a little doubtful of that. I believe this will allow him to make a Twilight Council afterwards. I don't play Protoss, so I don't know that. Yes, it will allow him to make a Templar Archives afterwards. Okay. And this is looking kind of reminiscent of an all-in from Shadye right now. I don't know. Is Duck gonna be able to hold off against this? He needs to see it coming. The biggest problem that's not working for him right now is the lack of vision. This hallucinated Phoenix is gonna come back here, but it's not gonna see anything. And oh, there it is. It gets spotted just a little bit too late. There it is. Photon Overcharge gets activated on the Mothership core, but again, I'm just thinking this could be a few too many Marines. In an emergency situation, we see duckdeok pulling his probes, trying to hold this as best as he can. Maybe a time warp might be able to help, but the Mortal just pops out just barely in time. That was a beautiful stim up the ramp from Shadye, but one thing that duckdeok does know about this is that it put all of his Marines on a limited time span. In fact, the Marines were the first units to fall, and now the SCVs will follow suit not far behind. So we actually see, even though there are a lot of probes lost here, we see that duckdeok actually held that relatively well. If we check the income tab right now, it puts him slightly ahead. As a Protoss, you never want to be, you know, you're expected to be slightly behind a Terran player. But I just don't know what to say to. Alright, so we're just going to have to wait for this to pan out just a little bit. It is, of course, 38 probes, 241 SCVs. And, of course, Terrans always have, the Protosses always have this magical way of making their units far more cost-valuable, cost-effective, if you will, units than, say, Terran does. This is an interesting choice from our Terran. Why is he electing to just simply land the factory here? Not entirely sure why Terrans are doing this more and more, but I'll figure it out later. +2/+2 now on the way for our Protoss, but of course +1 never finished for, you know, Shadye. So I'm thinking this could make all the difference in engagements. You know, this is going to be scaling upgrades we're talking about. Damage that, you know, when we see the shields of our Protoss drop, we're going to see these Marines, these Marauders, doing essentially 2 less damage than they ordinarily would. The Marines they'll do essentially a pathetically low amount of damage, but here we go. Shadye is basically going for another kind of all-in push, but we do have a Colossus that is on the way. We do have sentries. We do have an Observer that's just catching the tail end of the reinforcement trail, and now we have a very scared Protoss that it has to go into defense mode in the near future. SCVs are going to try and get us around on this, but, I mean, just the stim. Look at that. We need the force fields. There they are. Beautiful. And just as that sentry falls, there was, like, no force fields left to throw out on it. Colossus gets targeted down. If the Marines and the Marauders follow it, oh, that could have been just a little bit better by Duck. Now there's almost no AoE here in the mix for him. The factory is basically landing here to make a more complete SimCity, but it's not going to help him out right here because he doesn't have his reinforcements going into it. He's essentially trying to wear down the photon overcharge on that second nexus, on the natural. Meanwhile, we do have another Colossus getting chrono boosted out, and of course the Zealot legs are in research right now. And this is the whole hell of a difference that we see +2/+2 making now. I mean, just look at this. 16 damage to each Marauder that it shoots. It's going to make it, you know, it's almost like he has, I don't know, for every, let me think here, 8 Stalkers? No. For every 5 Stalkers? For every 6 Stalkers he has an extra one. that makes sense. That's how the math works in the most simple terms. And of course the Zealots, you know, they got charge legs now. So I mean, maybe if Shadye is able to go back and just hold this a little bit longer. He's doing a bit of a contain right now. It's not going to work out. There's already far too much anti-air. But if we also look at the damage that Shadye basically did by forcing his opponent to crank out those Stalkers. Oh my god. But the damage, the Stalkers return to the Vikings. That was too good. Like, there's only one Colossus in the mix right now. There's about to be a second one popping out. There it is. And now we have Shadye basically being chased down to his undoing. Forcing his opponent to crank out Stalkers was actually working against him just a little bit for, you know, this timing attack that kind of failed. He couldn't exactly read into it at first, but he's like, okay, great. Well, I have to do this. It cost us as much as a gateway. This is something that Day9 was talking about last night. Zealots look like they're going to get chased down. SCVs have been pulled off the line, and I'm wondering if perhaps Shadye is, you know, is he trying to make this game end right here, right now? He's just now getting +1 armor to finish up. And, I mean, if we just look at unit interaction, if you will, Stalkers can blink freely away from Marauders, even though Marauders get a damage buff against them. And here we go, the huge engagement. I don't know, I think we're slowly but surely going to see duckdeok lose his main army. There's one more Colossus left in the mix, and it is just acting like a meat grinder, a vaporizer of anything biological, and as such, it has been crowned a master with 8 kills. The Stalkers trying to snipe whatever they can from behind, and the Zealots just charging in there like the armored piranhas that they are. There's now a second Colossus in the mix. It's just absolutely beautiful how we see this working out. 20 kills Executor, 1 kill Disciple. And I think we're going to see this slowly but surely. This orbital command will be destroyed. Stalkers coming in from behind to finish up the job. And it looks like perhaps, just perhaps, we're going to have the last stand of Shadye here in the very near future. I don't know, these Vikings, they're just not enough to deal with what we see here with the Colossi. There's too many Stalkers on the ground. There are 3 Vikings, of course. They're really well spread. There's an offensive blink onto them. And it looks like maybe, just maybe, that was a terrible offensive blink. But no, it looks like duckdeok, you know, it was bad offensive blink. It did work against him a little bit, but he is now slowly but surely prevailing over the main army of Shadye. And there it is. 2 base is what Shadye has to say. And he says, okay. He says, GG. There we go, Korean English. I guess he said 좋습니다. I don't know. maybe he just didn't get it. Okay, so this has been Breaker. I'll see you guys next time. Just go ahead and click on the follow button. Working on my best to improve my casting. I'll see you guys next time. Go ahead and give me a comment on Reddit. Tell me what you guys think.